Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are on day 9 of the starter series. We're going to make this the final day of the series. But guys, if you have managed to jump in here at the end, you might be in the wrong place. So guys, if you're just new to the series, I'm going to put a link up here for you. That'll send you back to the playlist where you can find all of the videos and you can catch back up to us. But for the rest of us, we are going to head off into the murky land of confusion. We're going to change things up a little bit. We're going to be changing measurements. We're going to be changing flours. And if you haven't written anything down the whole rest of the series, this is going to be one where you might want pen and paper. So guys, it's going to be a little bit of a long process to get it moved over to what we're going to be doing now. We are changing methods about midstream or here at the end. And guys, it's going to be helpful in the end. So follow along. We'll get out here in the kitchen. I'll do my best to explain it. And I'll do my best to not make a mess out of it. So let's head out to the kitchen and see what's going on. Alrighty guys, we're in the kitchen. We've got everybody up out of the oven and we're getting ready to make our initial inspections. We have a lot of stuff to do today, so I'm going to skip around just a little bit and I may skip over a few things. So it'll be alright, don't worry about it. But what we're going to do, first thing we're going to do is we'll check out Floki. Now he came out of the refrigerator and we fed him last night and he's full of bubbles today. So first things first, we're going to get Floki fed and set him off to the side. We'll leave him over there for an hour or so and then he's going back in the refrigerator. He's just going to be his own thing. Alrighty guys, we've got Floki done. He's back here in the back corner with his lid on now because he's going back in the refrigerator. We'll talk a little bit more about what we fed him. And I don't want to confuse things because we're going to be changing up measurements today. So if you need to, get your pen and paper. But here are the starters, the main starters. You can see that they've grown a little bit less, a little bit less. But you can tell by the lines on them up here, right below their name tags, that they had a good rise and fall last night. So we're not worried about them at all. But it's time to move into something that we can handle long term. So we're going to be reducing the measurements on them. We're going to be changing up the flour a little bit. And I'll tell you about that as we go along. Alrighty guys, this is the part of the video that's going to get really confusing. So if you have notes or you're taking notes, then that's great. If not, you'll be able to come back and watch the video. But you know, we've got Floki set up over here. And he's going back in the refrigerator. He's got another hour or so. He'll go back in the refrigerator. And you'll remember these three. Those were our half-gallon jars. Let's see. There's a half-gallon jar in the background there to compare it with. But these guys are back in quart jars. And you can see we've already measured the starter from them and moved their name tags over. But we have a new mystery guest. There in the middle is Ivar. Ivar the Boneless was a Viking. He was a brother to Bjorn. And they were both fathered by Ragnar. One by Lagertha and one by another lady. But Ivar is Bjorn's half-brother. And Ivar caused all kinds of trouble. So what has happened is, in the background, what you see are the 3 misguided children from our previous video. They have been mixed together to be really confusing, and they will become Ivar. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to add some of the mixed up children there. They'll become Ivar, and we'll talk a little bit about the weights here. Guys, we're going to go to, for one day only, on day 9, we're going to go to 50 grams. That's what you see in the bottom of the jars, and it's also what Floki was fed. We're going to go to 50 grams of starter, 100 grams of flour, and 100 grams of water. So we're going to be doubling up on the feed, and we've cut the amount of starter way back. So they might go through a little bit of shock, not a big deal. But we are also going to be changing up what they're fed. So let me see if I can get this in a shot. Let me show you Ivar and his brother here again. See if you can see that. Yeah, that'll work. Alright guys, what this is It is not by weight, it was by measure. But we just put 1 cup of one kind and 1 cup of another in the jar, and it made these stripes here. But we are now going to be feeding a mixture of 50% all-purpose flour and 50% whole wheat flour. So we're going to be baking at a ratio kind of like that. So we want to get them used to that all-purpose flour, but we don't want to cut the wheat out on them entirely, because the cultures they've grown have gotten used to feeding on wheat, so we don't want to shock them too bad. But we're going to be adding 100 grams. We'll get this flour mixed up better. I wanted to show you the stripes. But we're going to be feeding 100 grams of flour and 100 grams of water to our 50 grams of starter. So let me get some of this busy work done, and I'll bring you back. Alrighty guys, I'm going to bring you back in and give you one last shot at this. And now if you want to compare day 9 to day 10 and beyond, day 9, what you're looking at is 50 grams of starter, 100 grams of 50-50 wheat, and 100 grams of water. So tomorrow and for the rest of the days of the starter, we will be feeding 25 grams of starter. We're cutting the starter in half, but we're leaving the flour and water the same. So it will be 25 grams of your starter, 100 grams of 50-50 flour, and 100 grams of water. And that we will do continuously, unless you decide to put it in the refrigerator, in which case you'll keep it at that same feeding rate, but you have to make sure that you get them out once a week, dump any hooch off of them. If it's just a clear liquid, you can stir it back in, but on your feedings out of the refrigerator, it'll still be the same. 25 grams of starter, 100 grams of feed, 100 grams of water. But that's for day 10 and beyond. We are on day 9. Let me get these mixed up. We'll get the lids back on them, and we'll come back and talk to you a little bit more. Alrighty guys, there you have it. We've got all 4 of them mixed up, and I've got them paired off. We got Mom and Dad on the left. We got the 2 boys on the right. And the Vikings were real big on who was the strongest. So our goal was to only have 2 starters. We'll have 1 main one and 1 backup. Floki has already been designated as, we'll probably give him away as a gift. So out of these 4, the main 4, we're going to pick the 2 strongest ones. And the 2 weaker ones we may mix with the strongest ones. But we're going to get it down to just 2. So we're down to 4 now. And we're going to try to move it on down to just 2. So we don't want to lose any of they may have picked up different yeasts or different bacterias, so don't really want to lose anything. That's why you'll see us combining them. But I'm going to take the 2 strongest ones, I'll pair them with the 2 weaker ones, and we'll get down to 2. And then from day 10 on, we're going to be feeding 25 grams of starter, 100 grams of mixed flour, and 100 grams of water. But for just today, day 9, we're doing 50 grams of starter to 100 grams of flour and 100 grams of water. And I really hope that's not confusing. I will do my best to explain it in the video description, and I may even tag a comment up at the top of the comments. But that's what we're going to do. I'll talk to you a little bit more. We've got another change that we're going to make. We need to break away from this series for just a couple of videos. I'll explain that in a minute. But another change we're going to make is we're going to put these guys in the oven, but I am not going to turn the light on. They are going to be at room temperature in the dark. That'll slow them down just a little bit, but we'll also be able to tell who's the strongest. So I can't leave that oven light on indefinitely to be keeping starters alive. So it's another thing, you don't want to burn that light all the time. That jar was almost full of flour. That's a half-gallon jar. It was almost full of flour before I started feeding, and that took over a quart. So guys, we're just trying to economize down. We just want to keep enough flour around here to keep them alive, and just keep enough that we've got 1 good one and 1 backup one, so we're never in trouble. So guys, that's how we're going to handle it. I'll get out here, we'll talk to you for just a minute, and then we'll let you guys go. Alrighty guys, that's about going to wrap it up for the whole sourdough series. I know that a lot of you were thinking that we were going to be baking bread today. Guys, we are just finishing up the starter, and in fact we'll have to make that one last change here tomorrow for day 10. So But for today, just one last time to go back over it. Day 9, the feeding is going to be 50 grams of starter, 100 grams of mixed flour, and 100 grams of warm water. So, and then day 10 and beyond, we're not going to make a separate video for that. Day 10 and beyond, you're just going to be feeding at a rate of 25 grams of starter, 100 grams of flour, and 100 grams of water. So I hope I didn't make too big of a mess out of that. And that day 10 measurement also goes if you're feeding a starter coming in and out of the refrigerator. So that'll stay the same too. So guys, we're not going to be breaking bread today. I know a lot of you were looking forward to it. I am too, but we've got to let this starter mature just a little bit. And the longer it goes, the better the flavor will be. And I have some special bread pans on order. I want to show you how we use those. We're actually going to there are some fancy ones that you can buy, and you can actually cook the round loaves of bread in a Dutch oven, and we're going to show you how to do that. So I've got a special one on order that doesn't have a handle on the top, and it's going to take it a couple days to get here. So guys, I know the bread people will be disappointed, but we'll be back in a couple of days and we'll be baking plenty of bread. But this is also a homesteading channel. We do all kinds of things here on the homestead, and we need to break away. We've got other viewers that might not be into baking bread, and they want to see some of the other things that are going on. We've got a big workshop project that's been underway. It's been a while since I've updated on that. A lot of people have asked me how it's going, and we're going to get the camera out there and show you that. Tina is getting her stitches out, and she is looking forward to getting back in the craft room. So we're going to spend a few days doing different odd things while these pans come in. I may even bake a practice loaf off camera just to make sure we can do it right. And then guys, we'll be back and we'll bake that bread, and we'll be showing different kinds of breads as we go along. It's something we want to add to the channel. So if you're a bread person, I'm sorry we're not going to be baking bread today. If you're not a bread person, guys, you're probably looking forward to tomorrow. So just hang in there, guys. If you like the content here on the channel, we hope you'll subscribe. If you do, there's a bell down there next to the subscribe button. If you'll ring that bell, that'll send you a notification whenever we release a new video. That's a great way to keep up with the channel and a great way to follow along with the different series. But we also hope you'll give the video a thumbs up and leave us a comment, or if you have any questions, if I've managed to confuse you, then leave your questions down there in the comments, and I'll make sure I get to them. I'm also going to try to put this information into the description of the video so that we don't have any further confusion. But guys, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for hanging out with us here at the homestead. We'll catch you in the next one.